In this week's episode, we talk about jumping out of employment and into business. We talk about negotiating with suppliers, and we talk about glory. Decided to get out of the office and come and film in front of this gorgeous church here in Port Macquarie, Anglican Church, I think it is, and just a beautiful setting. So I thought I'd come down here and throw the office off for a minute. Just wanted to invite you. Have you been following my Proverbs for Business on our Facebook page? Every single morning through the month of June at 7 a.m. Queensland and other times around the country, I'm taking one proverb every morning and putting it into a business context. And it's been great fun. We're getting, heaps of people join us, and I wanted to invite you too. If you haven't been, then join me at 7 a.m. Queensland, 5 a.m. Perth, 6:30 South Australia Darwin time. Go to our Facebook page every single morning and we'll go live at that time, and you can just follow on. They're sort of 15 to 20 minutes every morning, and we're having a heap amount of fun on there. So just wanted to invite you to do that. Let's get into this week's show.
Tina asks, what advice would you give someone wanting to transition from paid employment to business?
Tina, this question takes me back to about 2005 was the last time that I had both a business and a job together. And I think it's a very cool stage. Like, I think too many business people, there's a point when you got to go all in, but there's also a point where you should get a job. And my reason is that you want marketing money and you don't want the pressure of facing eviction every single week because you can't make rent. I'm not a fan. I think just go get a job and take some of the pressure off. But of course, there's going to be a point when you do have to take the jump, and so that's ultimately your question. So then I'm going to kind of say, well, if you've got a job, firstly, can you scale it back in time? Drop to 4 days a week and do 1 day on your business, or 3 days a week and 2 days and scale your job back that way. That's obviously a nice way to go. And if you can do that, then that's brilliant. Of course, what you do have, if you can't, like you've got to go 5 days or no days because you can't scale back in days, you've obviously got nights and weekends. And not enough people treat that time seriously. You can do a lot of work from 9 p.m. to 12 at night, on however many nights you could put up with doing that, and Saturdays and Sunday. You can do a lot of work on your business in those times. If you've got a family, then it means, doing dinner, reading stories, kids to bed, into the office, do some work, okay? So you can build a lot of momentum up without needing to leave your job. Ideally, you can scale back day by day, but if not, then at some point you're gonna have to go all in. People say to me, it's when your business is producing as much as when your job. It's madness. It's never going to happen. You're going to have to jump early. You're always going to have to jump early. For me, it would be as soon as I can get a true customer to start paying me money, like not as a theory, but as it's actually happening. Not my friends, not my family, not my people at church, actual people with money. As soon as I could get my ideal customer to part with some money, that's when I'd go all in and I'd back myself. So that might mean that we have to do some savings, save up in a bank account to build a little buffer to be able to jump and so forth. But ultimately you've got to jump early. And let me give you the motivation. I don't know if you know this story. Somebody told this to me when I was younger and I thought it was really cool. There was this fleet of ships going to war, a whole fleet of ships going to war. And as they were approaching the beach, they revved up the army. They said, we're gonna jump on shore, we're gonna run up the sand, and we're gonna take out the enemy. And everyone's like, yes. And so what happened? They get to shore, they drop down the front of the boats, the whole army runs out, they run through the water, they run up the beach, they start to go into battle, and the commander stays behind, and he grabs a few of his men, and he says, we've got to torch the boats. And literally they just set them all on fire. And you can imagine if you're one in the army, you're running up the beach, you look back, everything's up in fire. There's no way to go back. There's no turning back. They torched the boats, so there's no turning back. And so that's forced them to be better, to win the war, and everything was okay. It's a little bit like that when leaving our job. Quit the job and then you're all in and you've got to make it work. And that level of pressure can be kind of handy sometimes. as long as there's a lifeline to keep going back to, then it can be like a junkie going back to drugs, all right? And we need to make that clear demarcation if we can between job and business. And then when you're in it, you've got to do everything you can. You'll work day, you'll work night, you'll work your face off to make the business work. Great question.
Stephen Curry asks, how to manage the challenge of supplier negotiations when their ethics may not match yours?
You know, Stephen, negotiations are hard at the best of times. But I would say, you know, if their ethics are not the same as yours, I think that's a reason why we should be doing business with them. You know, I don't know if these people are believers or not. I assume they're not. My thing is, like, how do we ever go and, you know, show the world a better way if we don't do business with them? So I don't think we should just automatically run away. Now, I think we've got to draw the line. There's probably more to this than you've asked in the question, but I look at it, I kind of go, if you're getting a really good deal on the product and you can get into their world to show them actually what ethics looks like, then that's a really good deal. If you're not getting a good deal because they have bad ethics, then that's different. Get another supplier, because, you know, it's got to work for you as well. I would never take a bad deal to try and show someone, you know, God's ways. I want a good deal, and then I want some time in their life to show them and to speak into their life and to challenge them and to display the kingdom of God in that world. But I want to get a good deal first, okay? There's usually many suppliers that we can choose from in most cases, and if that's the case, I'll just go and find another one. In the very rare instance that that's the only supplier that can supply what you're talking about here, then you don't have a choice. Then you got to go with them, and you've got to try and groom them over time to be more ethical. I've actually found that most people that don't have very good ethics, it's only because they've never really transacted with somebody that does, that they stay like that. Most people that don't have good ethics, at the very least, if you show them what good ethics is, they can't dislike it, okay? They may not jump ship, they may not, you know, throw their picks in the air and run to their local church and give their life to the Lord, but they can't dislike ethics. And so that's what I would say to you. I would say to you, you know, our job as believers is to do association without assimilation. We've got to go and associate with people that don't know God, but we can't assimilate like them. We can't become like them. So their bad ethics can't rub off on us. But we've still got to go. You know, the last thing we would want to do, and you would want to do probably, is to hive ourselves up into a little bubble where everything's rosy and we just talk our own internal language. The problem with that is nothing changes, nothing gets fixed, and we're not changing any kind of culture. You know, and ultimately that's what he asked us to do. Go and take dominion, change the culture on earth, and we do it through business. So I would say go and do business with them and try and change their ethics. Unless you're getting a bad deal, then I'd go and find a different supplier. Great question, Stephen. Let's go to Word of the Week. All right, this week, we're going to go to a book that was written by Paul to the Roman Church. And we're going to go Romans 8:18. It's a famous scrippy. It's one that we've all probably heard. I want to put it into a business context for you, and it goes a little something like this. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. You know, we live in a world now where it's all about instant gratification. We live in a world where everybody tries to look hip, they try to look cool, and people have a very, very short-term worldview. You know, it's like if I'm not doing $1 million in my first year, it's a bad business. If I'm not doing $1 billion in my first year, it's a bad business. If my first capital raise doesn't value my business at $3 million, everyone's got these like ridiculously short time frames. And because we hear about the Zuckerbergs and the Facebooks, because it happens once, we think it should be the norm. You know, everyone's got these it's like, hang on a minute. The glory in us takes time. It takes time, and it's going to shape us to become these amazing people. But so many people, the suffering that we're going through, and I know what suffering is, let me rephrase that. I know what suffering is in business. I don't know what suffering is on a global scale at all, not even close, okay? I've never lived in a war-torn country. I've never been without food, so I don't know what suffering is. In a business context, just want to clear that up. I do, you know, I've had no money coming in, not sure how I'm going to be able to pay for things, you know, customers leave, I've had all of those things in business. The suffering that we have to go through in building our business is irrelevant compared for the glory that's going to come out of us, okay, as individuals, the glory that's shaped in us over time, you know, but no one wants to give it the time. Everyone is wanting, you know, like 3 to 5 years before they have to have made it, built a big business, become the hero, had a huge amount of influence. No one has got the time. No one likes long suffering. And I don't care how much you're a millennial in 2017 or you're a person of the times, long suffering is long suffering. You cannot shortcut long suffering with an app, okay? It's just what it is. It takes time to go through the struggles that we have to go through, okay? They are both our character and collections and sales calls and building a team and gossiping staff. We have to go through all of that. But like the short-term pain of that is so small compared to the long-term gain of the glory that's built inside of us and what that means in the world around us. You know, you take this seriously, you and I and the other 10,000 Christian business people in Australia that are in our world to some level, go a decade out from today and think about what it's going to mean to have that glory built inside of us. It's going to be huge. The influence around us will be massive, but it's going to take time. And I guess I just want to say that the suffering that you're going through right now, you know, in business is small compared to the influence that you are going to have if you hold the course for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, okay? And we will change culture and we will redeem culture, but it's going to take long suffering. It's not going to happen in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year window. The character in us takes time to build, and that's what Paul was talking about. Hopefully I'll see you in the morning for Proverbs for Business. If you want to go back and recatch any that you missed, you can literally, we've got a hashtag Proverbs for Business, FOR, Proverbs for Business. And you can go and see them all on Facebook and you'll see everyone that we've ever done all the way through. But maybe you could join us live and that would be a super blessing. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.